Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country Ukraine since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos I try to update you on the important real-life situations in my country Ukraine, and of course I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our history, culture, background or whatever interests you. So always feel free to leave your questions in comments below and I will be glad to cover them in my future vlogs. Recently, I have spoken a lot about the military and political updates on the war in Ukraine and its effect on the global politics. But there is one topic that I desperately want to cover and always postpone it and postpone it. So today I want to speak about it and I want to tell you why I am so proud to be a Ukrainian. But before that, an important introduction. I have never considered nationality to be an important quality of a person, or maybe a citizenship or something. And the phrase with which I traditionally start my vlogs is quite unusual for me in everyday life because sometimes I describe like there are lots of identities that we have. You can be a teacher, you can be a woman, you can be, I don't know, a European. And of course, Ukrainian is one of the identities that I have. But at the same time, for a long period, it was not like number one thing I would tell you when we introduce each other, for example, because I believe that in every nationality, and yes, a very small percentage even among Russians, there are good people. So nationality is interesting when you start talking about your cultural heritage, I don't know, cuisine, history, traditions, all of that is beautiful and interesting, but it would never go like first about me. And now being a Ukrainian is both an honor and a danger, because Russia's war in Ukraine, of course there are lots of reasons for that, but it is not about NATO, it is not about secret laboratories, it is not just about money, gas or oil, it is about the very existence of Ukrainian nation, and Russians kill us on national background. So for me, it is a genocide. I know many of you say that there are different definitions of what that is, but Ukrainians are being killed for the fact they are Ukrainians. And when you look at this recent massive missile attack on Kyiv and other cities of Ukraine, you see that they have targeted civilian objects. They have killed people who were traveling to hospital, to university, who were running in the park. These are people not connected with government, not connected with military, and it was not a mistake. And lots of their politicians and philosophers claim that this is to punish Ukrainians. Come on, it goes against every rule of morality, any religion, any philosophy, and that's why it is so important for us to understand that we are Ukrainians and we are being persecuted by Russians only on the basis of our national identity that they want to erase together with our culture, language, and it is always a huge thing because all the peoples, all the languages, all the cultures in the world, they must be preserved as they make our planet more beautiful. And I think I don't need to explain that to you. So now Putin reached just the country of what he wanted. He wanted to denationalize Ukraine, and in general Ukrainians are very hospitable, very tolerant, and I'd say we are not like, if you think about nations that have some chauvinistic attitudes, it's definitely not about Ukrainians. Ukrainians are super happy about like cooperation, communication with foreigners, different cultures. It's like always super excited, maybe sometimes even too excited. And when Putin wanted to denationalize, to denazify Ukrainians, he did just the contrary. He made us feel united. He made us feel as one nation, even when we are very different, coming from villages and cities, coming from different backgrounds, like we have never met before. But now there is one very strong thing that unites us: Ukrainian identity and the desire to survive and win this war. So why am I proud about being Ukrainian? Well, first of all, we did not give up. We're not cowards. We fight with the largest country in the world and with the craziest country in the world, Orklan, ruled by the supreme orc Putin. We laugh at him. And all these hysterics that he demonstrated at the beginning of this war and now, with missile attacks, with nuclear terrorism, and all of that, he cannot terrify us, and he cannot imagine that fear does not work on healthy countries, on healthy nationalities, because this is the way he rules his own country. This is the way he managed to stay president, so-called president of the country for many decades. And with Ukraine, it was like totally unpredictable for him that people can be brave. And I feel so sorry for all of the victims, for example, of recent missile attacks. There are more than 16 people, many of whose stories I've read on media, like that doctor who worked in Children's Cancer Hospital, and she lost her husband a year ago, and she had a son that she left in a kindergarten, luckily, and a missile hit her car, and she died on the way to work to help children, cancer patients. And there are other stories about beautiful people who lost their lives in this war just because they are Ukrainians. So, but despite all of these tragedies, none in Ukraine thinks that we have to surrender or give up. I laugh very much when I read troll comments, because at the beginning of my vlogging they irritated me a little bit, but now I laugh because they don't have this like normal arguments, and they start saying me, oh, soon Russia will free you, or you will get Russian citizenships. But this is not even an argument, not even a phrase that can make me like tremble or think about something. And all of Ukrainians, on the days of these heavy attacks, when we were expecting missiles everywhere, when all the map of air raid alarms was red, when people were hiding in bomb shelters, they were singing national songs in those bomb shelters, they were helping each other, they were trying to continue online classes, consultations, I don't know, various services that were available. They were providing each other with the necessary food, medication, or whatever. And most importantly, they were all laughing at Putin, saying that this is his agony. He demonstrates that he is just a frightened terrorist. It is not about the Crimean breach. It is not about NATO. It is just about his hatred and inability to rule and live normal life inside Russia. So they constantly need outside enemies. If it will not be Ukraine, it will be the Baltic countries, it will be Poland, it will be the USA, or it will be Mars, I don't know. And I'm really proud that none of Ukrainians said like, come on, we have to surrender. Because we realize the more he tries to frighten us, the stronger and braver we become. I don't know, why is he so blind that he does not see that? That he does not see that Ukraine is a totally different, healthy country with its problems, but with its very, very strong normality, if it's possible to say. And the more you suppress us, the more we want freedom. Our revolutions, Maidans demonstrated all of that. These were not bloody coups as he tries and his propaganda tries to show. These were healthy changes in a healthy country. When you think about France, when you think about Germany, when you think about the United Kingdom, you will see lots of protests that people use to speak to their government. And it's totally okay, because the government and the president, as Zelensky used in his campaign, are servants of the people. They are paid to work for us. And that's how we feel in Ukraine. We do not we do not worship our president, even this good president that did not escape, that did not give up, that looks like 20 years older than he was at the beginning of this war. But we do not worship him. We do not worship anyone, because it's not normal, it's not healthy for a society. You know, I receive many questions about corruption in Ukraine, and I have a separate vlog on that. So those of you who want to know, you can find the vlog and watch it. But despite the fact that it was As one of my nice supporters told me, and I totally agree with him, I was just looking for this term, as corruption was imported to Ukraine from Soviet Union, from Russia, it is still being imported to many European countries. But corruption is the problem of some huge businesses, of our politicians. But in general, we have a very strong and healthy civil society that demonstrates this strength's bravery daily by volunteering, by joining territorial defense and Ukrainian armed forces, by changing the politicians that we don't like, by speaking for freedom and democracy. And Putin and his people, they are so blind in their bunkers, they cannot even imagine such societies exist. And of course, we are a huge danger, but just for the totalitarian and authoritarian regimes who watch now Ukraine online and realize it is impossible to stop freedom, it is impossible to stop democracy, it is impossible to frighten people who want to stay like people in this true meaning of the word. Not to exist, but to live. And honestly, the longer this war continues, the more my hatred to Russians is substituted with disgust and I feel sorry for them. Because it's so weird, but with all these missiles falling from the skies, with all this destroyed infrastructure and years of failed economy perhaps, with inability to live even my normal life in a semi-safe zone, I would never have chosen to be Russian. I prefer to stay Ukrainian, even when I can be killed for that, because it is much better to be Ukrainian than to be a passive orc observing the regime or an active orc coming to die somewhere in Ukraine. So I am honestly proud to be a Ukrainian, and I'm so proud of so many of you who now knows and learns more about what Ukraine is, who support our people, our armed forces, who pays attention to the situation in my country, who watches my channel and channel of other beautiful Ukrainian YouTubers and not only Ukrainian YouTubers. And it is an honor to see how my country, how my nation is to some extent reborn and becomes stronger, healthier, and more determined to make this world, not just my country, but this world, a safe place. So I'm proud to be Ukrainian, and I'm proud that Ukraine has so many good friends all over the world, and we will definitely win this war. And we see the agony, we see it. Thank you once again for watching. If you like this video, like and share. Subscribe to my channel, as I believe people need to know more about Ukraine. Thank you for your coffees and becoming my patrons, and for beautiful comments that you leave below my videos. Do ask your questions. I'm always glad to answer them. And Slava Ukraini!